There it is. Recording live. I'm not recording, I'm just live. Post-burn blues. I am experiencing the post-burn Burning Man blues, and I haven't really had it since my first burn. I feel like pretty much after every burn in the past 10 years, I've just like come out of Burning Man ready to fire off into the stratosphere. But this Burning Man, I've been hit pretty hard with the post-burn blues. And so I figured in an effort to process it and deal with it, I would share with you some of what how do I make this go away? I don't know. I figured I would talk to you about it and share with you some of what I'm experiencing and feeling. I'm sorry if the video is windy. I've been looking for a way to get set up to do videos more often, and I just have not actually gotten any of the equipment or anything. So this is all totally raw, totally just off the cuff, impromptu, getting out there to do it. But post Burning Man blues. My first Burning Man 10 years ago, I was told by multiple veterans, don't make any big life decisions within 30 days of Burning Man. Because you come out of it with all kinds of feelings and things, emotions are exploding, things are moving around, energy is moving in your body about topics that you're not even aware of yet. And, when I go into Burning Man at this point, I've gotten pretty used to knowing that it typically takes me like 72 hours. I'm going to see if I cover it up. Sorry if it's windy. It takes like 72 hours to just even acclimate and get into the Burning Man experience, just to even land in Black Rock City. So when people tell me that they want to go just for the weekend, usually I tell them like, sure, you can do that. Don't let anybody tell you how to burn. But you're robbing yourself of the true experience. You're doing a disservice to yourself by only going for the weekend. So anyway, same can be said about the leaving. It's all part of the experience. Exodus is part of the experience, the process of little by little letting go of being in Black Rock City and coming back into the default world. And then afterwards, it's the post-Burning Man blues that, for me, I haven't had in many years. And this year, it's hitting me like a ton of bricks. So I'm going to share with you what my action plan is to move through it, because it's not something to be like combated. Like, you don't have to combat it. You don't have to push it away. There's value to the experience of the post-burn blues. There's a lot of insights. There's incredible things that come up, clarity. Also, probably not a great time to like take action. If you're thinking of like just, blowing up your life and quitting your job, wait a few days. So first step is to acknowledge that you are experiencing post-burn blues. And when I say you, by the way, for the entirety of this video, I'm really talking to myself. I'm just saying it out loud to myself so that I can go through the energy and remind myself that this is what I'm experiencing. For you, it might be very different. You, the listener, you, the viewer. All right. What I'm going to be doing next is to engage in gratitude practice. And what that looks like for me is that I have a journal that's specifically allocated for writing out lists of appreciation. And there is a little bit of a difference between gratitude and appreciation. If you're a follower of Abraham Hicks, Abraham describes how gratitude has an energy of overcoming. There's some struggle in the vibration of gratitude. We don't realize it, but there's like a little bit of it there. Whereas appreciation doesn't have that vibration. Appreciation is, you can appreciate things for what they are, even if like for example, having a tumultuous, experience at work. It's hard to say, I'm grateful for this terrible thing that happened. But appreciation is a lot easier to do. And getting into an appreciative state is really the trick. My plan is to right now go get coffee and sit down with my appreciation book and make a list of the things that I appreciated about my burn. Not even just necessarily things I'm grateful for, just things I appreciated, learned from. And if I'm having a tough time getting into that state, because the primary focus is not to like make a list and post it somewhere. The primary reason is to get into a state of appreciation. So what that list might even look like for me is I may simply make a list of things I appreciate about the coffee shop that I'm sitting in. I might make a list of things I appreciate about this park. I appreciate that it's got convenient bathrooms. I appreciate the location. I appreciate the staff, the parks service folks that keep this place humming and keep it nice. I appreciate the wind against my face, even if that wind is absolutely demolishing this audio, which I hope it is not. So, getting into a state of appreciation, however that looks like. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm looking forward. I'm excited about, I can get excited about all the things that I am planning to be excited about in the coming 2 or 3 months. Things that I'm working on, art projects, things that I'm writing. The next episode of Burner Podcast that I intend to release by the end of this month, which I've not started any work on that whatsoever, but I know that that's something I'm going to work on. I'm excited about moving to Vegas. I'm making a list of things that I would be looking at. I'm definitely planning to be there for at least 3 months, and we'll see what it looks like after that. But I'm going to lay out some plans, things that I plan to do in Vegas, and that may give me something to get excited about. Spending time in nature. Obviously, I chose to come to this park. Pioneer Park is a place where I do my birthday thing every year. It was kind of, earlier there was a kerfuffle over there, which looks like it's still playing out between a couple of ladies and dogs that bit each other. But other than that, it's quite pleasant to be here. Getting out of nature, getting reset, that's always a good one. Pattern interrupt or state change. So I find that on days like this, it's almost like I can get up and I say, hey, instead of following through with whatever normal routine I was going to do, I'm just going to do something dramatically different. Maybe I'll just, if I was planning to go immediately to work, if I am in a position to not do that, I might go to the beach. I wake up every morning doing a cold shower. That's my state change approach. Literally, just woke up today. I'm like, you know what? I'm feeling, I'm just going to jump in there and do a cold shower, and that's going to give me the immediate state change that I need to at least get me out of the house. Whatever you need to do a pattern interrupt or a state change, whatever you think your normal routine was going to be today or tomorrow, what happens if you just throw a curveball at it? Something out of left field, do something completely different. Go hang out with somebody you wouldn't hang out with. Go play hooky and go see a movie. One of the best experiences I've had doing that was seeing Godzilla -1 a few months ago. I just played hooky, went and watched a movie, because I'm an adult. I can do that. Relatively. There's, of course, socializing and joining in decompressions. That's it's often the thing that we talk about. Obviously, that's why decompressions even began, that the ritual of decompressing with friends, to be around community. That's, of course, that's very important. Being amongst your people and remembering that, you're not completely alone. If you're in a part of the world that has a burner community, not everywhere does. But whatever you can to go be around people. If you know 2 other burners, or if you know 35 other burners, go hang out with them at some point this week. I also understand that might not be easy to do, because people have lives, people have work, which is why I've got the rest of this list that I'm leaning on. No one of these things is going to be like a magic bullet. But when you stack all of them up on top of each other, you'll feel 10 to 15% better. And then that allows us to take a step into the next possible 10 to 15%, bit by bit. Uh, Burner podcast. Yeah, listen to Burner podcast. I'm not making a commercial for the podcast. Uh, as a person who is all too familiar with depression, the idea of creating a lasting, regularly running signal in order to help move through depression and navigate depression was baked into the DNA of Burner Podcast from its very inception. In the 10 years that I've done it, I've had messages from listeners from around the world telling me that they got into listening to the show because they were navigating depression and feeling very isolated. And a part of what comes out, especially if you just came from Burning Man, you're surrounded by people and euphoria. And the opposite of euphoria, I have learned, I have observed, is that feeling of isolation that comes with depression. So if you're feeling depression, you also feel more isolated. So it's one of the ways that you can feel connected to your community. So not just even Burner Podcast, by the way. I look up tons of other Burner media that's out there. There's a few podcasts. There's Into the Fire podcast. There's, of course, Burning Man Live has theirs. And, there's lots of stuff out there. But getting into some sort of media, I actually had a friend on Playa, actually, this year, share with me that she was having a depressive episode. And she was laying in bed and just, pulled up a podcast and was really appreciating what an amazing time we live in, where instead of just being alone, you can tap a couple of buttons on a screen and there's somebody else who's been through what you've been through and they can help guide you out. We have at least 2 episodes that I can think of from recent ones that are all about mental health and Burning Man, burner culture. Those are things to check out. Challenging experiences are a part of the journey. Burning Man is hard. We have fun, but it's hard. It's never not been hard. It's always been hard. The reason we do it is because it's hard, and a lot of tough shit comes up. It's important to remember that that's part of the reason that we even went. It's like a psychedelic, I've always said Burning Man is a week-long psychedelic. There's no guarantee that you're going to have fun. You don't go into it for that reason. You accept whatever comes up. That's the contract that we make with the playa when we get out there. Allow it. And remember that Black Rock City is a city. And our community is vast. So whatever challenging or negative experiences you had, when we fall into depression, the depression mind likes to trick us into believing that it was the entirety of this thing. Like everybody else is in on it and we are isolated and alone. That the event was bad and we don't want to go anymore. But it's not an event. Burning Man's not an event. Black Rock City is a city. There are good people there and there are assholes there. We just happen to have a lot more good people in ratio than the average city. But there's shit happens at Black Rock City. May have been a lot of shit, by the way. Might have been a particularly difficult year. It's important to remember, and I always remind myself, no matter how difficult my experiences get, no matter how I feel dumped on, no matter how crappy some part of it is, and something that the org is doing I'm not happy about, it's a city with a living, thriving population. If you did not have a good experience with one part of the city and one aspect of the government that runs it, go check out another neighborhood. Take a step back. I've had a lot of crappy experiences in San Diego, but it's a city. I'm not going to not come back to San Diego because I had crappy experiences here. Don't let the depression mind trick you into thinking that the challenging experiences that you had will last forever. You did the best that you could. And part of what you're experiencing is post-burn blues. So a lot of these thoughts can't necessarily be trusted yet. Sit with them a little bit. Allow the energy to flow through. Go sit at a coffee shop and write lists of gratitude or appreciation. And the last thing that I got for you is lean into it. You know, that's what I'm doing right now. I woke up and I'm like literally feeling like crying right now. Energy's not, I'm not quite back in like default mode. And I was like, man, I haven't experienced this in 10 years. Usually I come out of Burning Man like feeling so, I always tell people it's the weirdest thing. I don't listen to country music, but like I come out of Burning Man and I'm so filled with electricity that I'm like driving around listening to like country. It's like very strange. Yeah, but this year the post-burn blues have hit pretty hard, and leaning into it can look very different for everybody. For me, leaning into it is ripping the band-aid off and doing this video thing that I've been wanting to do forever to get more into doing lives and getting more video content up. And I've been, pulling and dancing around it. I don't really like it. I don't like dealing with this. But I accept that it's a part of what I probably need to do for my art and my career path, and to stay connected with you, my community, and especially because I'm traveling and I'm alone so often that this is just a part of how I keep the signal going and stay connected with you. And I've just been avoiding it one way or another for, God, I don't know, months, years. I keep starting it and stopping it. But today I was like, you know what? I'm just going to rip this Band-Aid off, and I'm going to lean into this post-burn blues. And what that looks like is by doing a video about it. So if you are experiencing post-burn blues, post-Burning Man blues, you are obviously not alone. Whatever thoughts you're having, feelings you're having about your family, about your work, about your sense of self-worth. Like I can tell you right now, my self-worth is like really low. It's a long story about why all that's happened, but I got a lot of insight at this Burning Man about what I can do about it. I'm not helpless. I'm working through it. But some of what helps is doing what we're doing right here. Reminding ourselves that observing the observer. Right now, stuff's going on up here that I can take with a grain of salt, because I'm not quite restabilized yet. Anyway, I love you all very much. And whatever I can do to be there for you, I will always be here for you. And my life and my art and everything I do is dedicated to elevating our collective consciousness, and all of us, just as Ram Dass says, walking each other home. See you next year in the dust.